Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my podcast where you can gain insight on my perspective. My name is Hayden, and this is episode 5 of a series called 24 Lessons I've Learned in My 24 Years of Life. So, lesson 5. This is probably one of my favorite lessons that I've learned because I think about it every single day. And it is rejection is redirection. Say it over and over a few times if you need, but rejection is redirection. I'm going to explain to you a few personal examples and other examples that are not mine to get the wraparound of everything that we're talking about today. Not getting what you want sometimes is truly a blessing, but in the moment we do not see that. I would guess probably 99% of us are in a situation where we get rejected and we do not feel grateful immediately after. We probably feel feelings of frustration, anger, sadness, etc. It's totally valid to be feeling all of those things. In fact, I encourage you to feel through your emotions and work through them. Understand how and why they are affecting you. It probably doesn't occur to you until later down the road that you actually feel grateful for the rejection that you experienced. How many times have you noticed that because someone or something rejected you, it worked out for the better? I'm trying to pick your brain. I'm trying to see, do you ever take a moment to reflect and think about that? Think about exactly where you are in life right now. What your career is, what your family's like, where you live, what your hobbies are. Really take a moment and reflect. If you need to pause the video and write down some things. Just a little side note, I encourage you guys to take notes while watching these. If you don't and you're better at remembering, amazing. I wish I could do that. It's only if something really stands out then I remember it, but a lot of the times I take notes when I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or watch YouTube videos. So just wanted to put that out there to put the idea in your mind. If you haven't already thought about doing that or wanted to, there's that for you. So yeah, think about where you are in life right now. Are you grateful for where you're at right now? Think back to episode 1, having an attitude of gratitude. Are you grateful for the life that you're living right now? Do you want it to get better? Do you want to keep progressing? Regardless of where you're at in life, there are still going to be moments of resistance and rejection. Those don't really go away. You just become more equipped to deal with these types of things and go through certain situations, and they're not as big to you as they were previously after you've gone through them a certain number of times. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. One of the first examples I'm gonna show you guys is a job opportunity. Have you ever gone to a job, you worked really hard to prepare yourself for the interview, but there was a lot of resistance in the way and you ended up getting rejected from it? Say you're about to go to a job interview, you forgot some paperwork, you forgot a detail, maybe you didn't research the company enough. You get there for the interview, you might be nervous, and you see that the position has been filled and they are letting you know that they're not going to continue with the hiring process. In that moment, like I said, probably 99% of us, that's a made up number, but I don't know a lot of people that in that moment will be like, thank you, because I just know that this wasn't right for me. I rarely hear of that happening, but it's not until, I don't know, maybe later in the day, you might still be very upset all throughout the day, maybe even the next week. It all depends on how you process your emotions. Because I know after I've had job opportunities and I've gone to interviews and I've gotten rejected, I felt upset. I felt discouraged. I felt, well, I worked really hard to get myself to this point. I was really excited about the job and now I'm very sad that I did not get it. I allowed myself to feel the sadness and the frustration from it. Fast forward a little bit into the future, I was like, you know what? I'm actually grateful I did not get that job, because either you hear a review about the company, you hear about something, you hear about somebody else filling the role and working with the people that you almost worked with. There's a multitude of reasons as to why something doesn't work out. And a lot of the times it's for the better. For me personally, I'm not going to disclose exactly where I work, but it is a well-known coffee shop that a lot of you know of. I had worked there for 3 years. I had worked my way up, became a supervisor, was making the most money I ever made. You know, after 3 years, I'm like, I need a change. Something needs to happen. I feel that my life is too stagnant. I like gained awareness and I was like, I've been here a while. Something needs to change. My life isn't where I need it to be right now or where I want it to be. So I am going to try something that alters my life. And change can be scary. Change can be daunting. So I was like, wow, I've been living in my comfort zone for quite some time, working at the same place, doing the same thing, following my routine because it's now easy. It's all muscle memory. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't have to work too hard, versus if I were to start a new job right now, I'd have to learn everything and be kind of nervous, exciting, whatever. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna apply for some other jobs and see what happens. So I applied to 2 other jobs. I got one right away, interviewed. I was like, cool, I like it here. I applied for another one and I got the interview. I got hired. I was like, cool. I put in my 2 weeks at the coffee shop. I got my start dates for both of my new jobs. I started at one of them. It was going pretty well. I liked the people I worked with. The environment was cool. And then I noticed that I didn't hear anything from my other employer, so I reached out to them. Mind you, this person did not even have a phone number. It was a very weird dynamic, and I wish there were more ways of getting a hold of people in charge, and the hiring process was just different than anything I've ever experienced. I ended up sending a few emails and getting a hold of somebody, and finally it got me to my manager, and I was like, hey, is there anything I need to bring for Monday, my start date? And they were like, did you not check your email? And I was like, what do you mean? They were like, we're not continuing with the hiring process. And I was like, I thought I was hired. And they were like, well, we were waiting for your background check and we just decided we're not gonna go through with it. There was a reason, but I understand it. And I was like, okay, is what it is. It was nothing discriminatory, by the way. A lot of people thought that. Was not. So there I was, frustrated, kind of in disbelief that I now only have one job making half of what I made at my previous job. And I was like, wow, my bank account just took a blow to it. That is not fun, especially when you have the intentions of moving out and getting your own place and providing for yourself. You know, I was anticipating moving out for the second time. That was a really big goal of mine, was to fully be on my own, but the universe had other plans, I guess. So that opportunity did not work out, and I was like, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do full-time at my second job. After about 2 weeks, I started realizing I like what I'm doing, but not in this environment. This environment isn't right for me. It's just not. It's not working. I need a change to happen. So I reapplied to the coffee shop that I previously worked at, just a different location, because I was like, I'm not gonna go back into the same environment that I wanted out of so badly. So I ended up applying to it, got it, was cool. And so there I was working 2 jobs again. And I was like, all right, let's do this. It was my first time working 2 jobs. I didn't have a life. I prioritized doubling my income, which I did do for a while, and it felt really good. But having those 2 jobs combined, I was making a little less than what I was making just as a supervisor the very first job I had. So I was like, this is a lot of extra work for less amount of money, and I'm not really happy at one of these jobs. So I left one of them, and then I started doing full-time at the coffee shop, and I'm like, okay, and that's currently where I'm at. Along the way, I rediscovered my hidden passions, and I started pursuing them. I'm starting to see a brighter side to things. So I am grateful that all of the resistance, all of the rejection is actually working out for the better. Am I gonna see that right when it happens? Probably not. Are you gonna see that right when that happens after you get rejected? Probably not. We're gonna feel through our emotions, and our emotions are valid. They are so valid. Whatever emotion comes up, valid. So that's an example of getting rejected from a job opportunity. A lot of the times it does work out for the better. I know a lot of us know a lot about this one. You really want to be with somebody, and they're just not the right person. They're just not. We try to convince ourselves otherwise sometimes. So we go into this, we're like, I want you. You've been friends with them, you're trying to get to know them, throwing out some hints. They're not reciprocating the throwing out any hints. They're very much keeping to themselves. They're reserved. They're rejecting your hints. If you're dropping hints so much and you feel maybe they're not getting them, don't just keep doing it. If that person does not like you, they're gonna start building resentment towards you. And then you're gonna be pushing them further away. You want something that they do not want, but you haven't even communicated that with them yet. Communicate and be clear. I know it's scary to tell somebody that you like them, or to compliment them even sometimes. In order to just face the resistance head on, sometimes you can push through it, right? Like I said, you're either going to face resistance where it turns into rejection, or you're going to face resistance that turns into progression. However, you do not know if you don't try. So you can sit behind this line being like, these are my two options, but if I sit here, this is my comfort zone. I don't have to deal with rejection or progression. So I'm just going to stay stuck in the same spot. That's what some of us choose. Or we can get out of our comfort zone, either get rejected that leads us to somebody else that is better aligned for us, or this is the person we like and they also feel the same way. You progress and you figure it out from there. Guess what? You do not know if you don't try either one of these options. You stay stuck and you stay wishing. But wishing doesn't get you anywhere. Taking action does. So take the action to move forward with experiencing the rejection. Not all rejection is a bad thing. In fact, I don't see rejection as a bad thing, even if it is embarrassing or frustrating or saddening. We all can feel a multitude of emotions after rejection happens. But like I said, a lot of the times rejection is redirection. It's a blessing in disguise. This is a well-known example of rejection or resistance that turned into a redirection. Think about 9/11 and think about the people that worked in the Twin Towers that did not make it to work that day. You heard about the interviews of, why didn't you make it to work that day? Well, my shoes were untied, so I had to tie them. I dropped my papers out in my yard, so I was picking them up. I spilled coffee on my shirt, so I had to go back into the house and change. Or my dog ran out the house and I was chasing him and that's why I was running late. Or a tree fell down and that's why I was running late. Everything happens for a reason. And there's so much resistance in them trying to get to work that they ended up not being able to get to work. And there was a reason for that. In the moment, they are very frustrated that they are unable to get to work because of reasons X, Y, and Z. However, they were so grateful afterwards, realizing had they gone to work that day, they may not still be getting to experience their life. A lot of people were grateful that they made it, and a lot of people experience survivor's guilt, unfortunately. Anytime you feel resistance or you get rejected, take a step back, reflect, readdress, and figure out where to go from there. But remember back to what I said. If you're behind this line and you don't take action, you're never going to experience a rejection or a progression. And remember, with the rejection is redirection. And maybe you actually meet somebody or you meet that right job for you and there's success there, but you don't know unless you don't try. That wraps up today's episode, episode 5, Rejection is Redirection. Let me know in the comments and reviews whether or not you guys are enjoying these podcasts, whether you're gaining anything or using anything to apply to your life, how it has affected your life. I would just love to interact with all of you if I could. Give me that 5-star rating if you like this. Don't be shy. But no, honestly, give me your honest rating and review. I can't wait for you guys to join me in next week's episode, episode 6, where we talk about patience. Hope you all have a great day, night, evening, wherever you're at. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.